Okay, last class we saw the servlet context. So servlet context is one more interface in the servlet API. Understood? And we are studying that only library. And this object, okay, can store values. This object can store values. Okay. So please get this point very clearly now. The subject becomes very interesting. Servlet context can store two types of values. We have covered one, we'll be covering the other one today. One would be the context parameters. Okay, and the second one would be context attributes. You can store two type of values. In fact, I have covered this one. Okay, which are context parameters. So context parameters, how do you store the context parameters? By configuring in web.xml. You'll configure now. So you'll configure in web.xml by using what? Context param name, param value. So that's how you configure. And once you configure it, you can get it whenever you want. You can retrieve it in your program by calling what? Get init parameter. Okay. So you can configure by configuring in web.xml by using tag. Which tag? Context param tag. So if you do this, it will be stored. Okay, and if you want to retrieve the value, if you want to use context parameters, we call the method, which one? CTX, context.get init parameter. This is the way you do it. Yes or no? Driver, and the return type of this would be string str driver, something like this. Correct? See, this is how we'll be configuring. Context param name, param value, close the, means if you want more you can add, that's up to you. So last class we saw all this. Again you have to close what? Param name and close what? Param value. Param name would be driver. You can give any value now. Oracle dot jdbc dot driver dot Oracle driver. You can give like this. Yes. So that's how you store the configuration values or context parameters we say. Okay. And we can retrieve it like this. Done. So why will you take this approach? If you want the configuration values, for many servlets, okay, the same value is needed for many servlets, then you'll put the values into the context object like this. You'll configure it like this and you can access it at whichever servlet you want by calling this method. By calling this method, you'll get this. Yes or no? So like this you're doing it. So what is the visibility level? The visibility level of context is very high. The value stored in one context object can be accessed by what? Multiple servlets. This is what we saw in the last class. Okay. So now see, context object also has its own support, config object also has got its own support. We have to understand the advantage and disadvantage of both. Only then you will understand when to use which one. Okay, simply don't see negative side of it or positive side of it. Config object, what is the positive, what is the, what is the negative side of config object? It is available to a single servlet. The value stored in the config object is available to a single servlet. But what is the positive side of config object? The value stored in the config object is available to a single servlet. That is the positive part. Means one kind of security. The visibility is like that. Understood? The context object, what happens? What is the positive side? It is available to all the servlets. Okay, but negative side is what? Security. So like that, pros and cons will be there. So I am covering both. And why I am covering both is you should not see only one side. You should know exactly which one to use when. Done? So this we have covered and we have worked with till now parameters. Today we will work with attributes. Before we proceed to attributes, see, parameters are always, remember this point, are always set by container. That's the most important thing. Container is setting the value. When the context object is created now, this value will be put into the, means when the context object gets created, when does the context object get created? When the server starts. When the server starts, it will be created. So it will read the values from the web.xml and store it into the context object. So it is the container which will be doing this. You have only configured like this, but these values are retrieved and put into the context object when the server starts. Life of the context object also are clear now? What is the life? It is created when the server starts. Why it is created when the server starts? Because those values are needed for all the servlets. So before any servlet instance is created, it should be ready. So that is why the context object is created when the server starts. When it is going to be destroyed? When the server shuts down. So till all the servlets are running in your server, it should be there. Understood? So so the context object will be destroyed only when after all the servlet instances are destroyed. Now when do all the servlet instances get destroyed? Only when the server is shutting down. So that's why the context object is destroyed when the server shuts down. So all these points you should be clear. The life and death of the objects. The container knows exactly when to create the object, when to destroy the object. Okay. So these are very, very essential things, because if you know the support of all this only, we can develop what? A good web application. Otherwise it's very difficult to develop a web application. So this support we require. Okay. So as you develop projects, you'll start understanding. Yeah. So we have completed this. Now I told you, ServletContext can store what? It can store two types of values. One is the context parameters, next one is the context attributes. Today we'll work with this. Yeah. So now, how do you store values? We store attributes. This is one more new word what you're seeing. We have seen parameters. Parameters is over now. Leave it. Come to attributes. We can store attributes. We can write. We store attributes in context object by using set attribute method. There's one method, set attribute. There's one method called as set attribute. I show you the API. You have to pass one name, you have to pass one string and one object. This is the argument. String and object. So this is how we will do it. Okay. We store attributes in context object by using set attribute method. Okay. We retrieve, next point, we retrieve or we get attributes from context object by using simple get attribute method. Get attribute, whatever the name you have given here, string. That name you have given now, you'll get it. Okay. So it will be something like this. Object E is equal to, means the return type of this is, you know what, get attribute, object. The return type of get init parameter is string. The return type of get attribute is object. So object E is equal to ctx dot get attribute. You'll be going with the name here, str name. That string is nothing but a name. Okay. So I'll be showing you with an example, you'll understand this. So this is the concept now. Clear? So see, theoretically, it will not be very clear. The thing when you see an output only, you'll get the concepts very clear. So this is a concept. So best is I'll be showing you, making you all these concepts clear with an example only. Done? Okay, that's the return type is object. You'll have to typecast later on if you want. You can typecast it to what? String, integer, depending on what value it is, you'll typecast. That is there. Now the most important thing, what is the difference between an attribute and a parameter? Attributes are set by developer. Attributes are set by developer, parameters are set by container. This is where the difference comes. So attributes are set by developer. Understood? You will set it. So that's the difference. So we have covered parameters. So attribute is a new topic we are opening. It will not be over in one day. Slowly we'll see more attributes and then you'll get the grip of it. Understood? So attributes are explicitly set by the developer. So this is the difference. We'll see all this now. With a what? Example. Very simple example is there. Let's see now. And remember, whether it's a parameter or attribute, what is the thing now? The value stored in context object is available to what? all the servlets, whether it's an attribute or a parameter. The value stored in the context object is available to all the servlets. Remember that. So in which servlet you want, in that servlet you can get the value. It's not mandatory that you have to get the value in what? Every servlet. In whichever servlet you need that value, retrieve it. So I'll give you more examples on ServletContext so that you get a good grip onto this subject. Only solution for all this is what? Examples. No other way. So one side you have to understand the concept, the other side I have to give you an example to support the concept. So all examples are again what? Concept based, not output based. So using these concepts you develop what? Your web application. So I'll be referring to the 14th example now. Check this out. So here nothing is there, just one first page will be there, a HTML file. See this. So what is there in the HTML file? I'll have one submit button. If I click, it will go to what? It will generate on URI by name FST and it will go to one first servlet. There's one first servlet FST. Where it will go now? To web.xml. In web.xml if you notice, FST is mapped to what? First servlet. And SEC, one more servlet is there, it will be mapped to second servlet. Look at the web.xml. But parallel you see here context param also. I'm storing one, what is this? Key. What is this? Value. Like this you can store any type of values in your context object. Understood? So this is what? Parameter. Correct? So I can get the parameter also. How will I get it out? Context.get, I need parameter of country. Return type will be what? String. And the value of that string would be India. That you saw in the last class. Fine. So that is okay. It will come to first servlet. Now what is the first servlet doing now when you click there? Nothing it is doing. See this. You can get the reference to context object like this also. How? By calling the method get ServletContext. Okay. So where is this method now? Superclass. Present in what? Generic servlet or HTTP. Check it out in the hierarchy. Okay. It will be there in generic servlet typing. Because we are not using any dot. See in the init method we say config.get ServletContext. Here we say directly get ServletContext. Either whatever the condition. Okay. To work with the context object you have to get the reference. Get the reference first. So once you call this method you'll get it. Now see what I am doing. Set attribute. That's all. One method I am calling. Okay. So this is the key. Company is the key. IBM is the value. That's it. This is string name. This is an object. Object of type what? String. Understood? So we are setting the value like this. So once it is done, I'll give back the response. Clear? So I see in first servlet, we put a value. That value is of type what? Attribute value. Where did I put it? In the context object. And these values will come dynamically to you. Right now I'm hard coding. These values will be coming dynamically. I will show you more better examples. So I am setting what now? Attribute. Once I set an attribute, see now the response will be given. And you will get on button. So if you click on that button, it will go to what? Second servlet. In the second servlet, very interesting, see this. I can get both the values. What? Context.get attribute also I can get. Parameter also I can get. That is the idea here. So the value stored in context object can be accessed in what? Any servlet. I stored it in first servlet, but I am accessing it in what? Second servlet. Parameter is set in the web.xml. I accessed it in second servlet. So wherever you want, you can access it. Done? So let's run this program now. Very important example. It looks very simple. But as they go on building, you'll understand the importance of all this. So see this, first HTML slash, the HTML is here, home.html. Nothing is there in this HTML, just click here to go to first servlet. That's all. What is first servlet doing? Nothing. It is just setting one attribute into the context object and giving back the response here. User doesn't know anything. One attribute has been set there. Which one? A company IBM. And in the second servlet, we are retrieving and displaying what? Both. Parameter also, attribute also. If you want more clarity, I'll open up a new browser and show you. See this. You can come outside and work. That will be more clear for you. So home.html, click here to go to first servlet. First servlet, what it did do? I show you the code. It is setting an attribute. That's all. After setting the attribute, it's giving back the response. Click. Second select is getting both the attribute value and parameter value and displaying. So see this, what is first select doing? This is home.html. What is home.html doing? First, nothing. I'll just go again here. New browser I'll open up. This is the first.html, right? Sorry, which one? Home.html. See, this is the home.html output. So now I'm going to click. It is going to execute which one? First servlet. What is first servlet doing? Nothing. See that? Just setting an attribute and giving back the response. So that is what happened when you click the first. So now when I click second, what is second servlet doing? Getting the values from the context object. Which value? Parameter value as well as attribute value, and displaying both. So what is the concept? The value stored in context object is available in what? All the servlets. I stored the attribute in first servlet, but I can access it in second servlet. Brilliant. If you want diagrammatical way also, I'll give it to you. Okay, let's see it. So you know the flow now. What is the flow? The flow would be this. First, you are making a request to what? An HTML file. This one HTML. What is that HTML name? Home.html, right? Is it HTML? No. So it said what? First. So if you click this button, it was going and executing which one? First servlet. Yeah. Then here you are having one more option, second. If you click this, it is executing second servlet. Alright? Now clearly understand the flow. Okay. See, this is the application I have deployed. This is the application I have deployed where? This first servlet, this second servlet. Then this is the application I have deployed into server. So as soon as the server starts, what happens? The context object is created now. Are these servlet instances created? No, the servlet instances are not created. Only which one is getting created now? This is the context object. It is created implicitly. And in this object, what are you having? Country. The value of this is what? India. Still these objects have not been created. Understood? I have just written the application and deployed into the server. After deploying into the server, when I start the server, only the context object is created. The servlet instances are not created because the load on startup tag has not been used. Understood? So now the servlet instance will be created only when the first request comes now. You are very clear with this concept. So only the context object has been created. Okay. So now I'll make the first request to the HTML. Which one? Say home.html means type the URL. HTTP localhost and all that. Type the URL. So it will display this first which one? Home.html. Is the servlet instance created now? It is not created. Yes or no? So as soon as I click the first button, first servlet is getting executed. Yes or no? Now what is the first servlet doing? Your doGet method is getting executed here. Request, comma, response, all that is fine. But what are you doing here? Servlet context ctx is equal to get servlet context. So here what are you telling? Ctx dot set attribute of what? Company, comma, IBM. This is what we are doing. And then we'll say pw.println. That's all we are doing, nothing else. We will leave the story now. pw.println will do this. But exactly when the first cell it is executing, what is happening here? It is putting a value called IBM. It will be storing IBM value in which one? Company. Company is one variable name or key. Company is one more variable name or key. Okay. So this will be put into what now? IBM is getting stored in company. And company will be put into what? Context object. IBM is the value. Company is the variable name you think. This is the value. This is the variable name. This variable will now be stored into what? Context object. So this is how it will be stored now. Company is equal to IBM. Like this you can store values in context object. That's what I am trying to project now. You can store what? Parameter value, or you can store what? Attribute value. So here India is what actually? Parameter value. And what is this IBM now? attribute value. So who is setting the parameter? Container. We configured container, put it. Who is setting the attribute? Developer. By calling which method? Set attribute. Done? So it will be stored. Now it will give back the response also. Next, when you click on second, the second select is getting executed. What is the second select trying to do? Trying to get both the values. Fine. If you have stored it, if you have stored the values there, you can get it. How will you get it? Ctx dot get attribute. You can get both. String s1 is equal to ctx dot get. I will go with some good name. String str country is equal to ctx dot get init parameter. See how I am drawing the value? Init parameter of what? Country. Highly case sensitive. This and this, what you have configured in web.xml, that only you have to use. Similarly, to get your attribute, return type of attribute is what? Object. That is the thing you have to understand now. Object E is equal to ctx dot get attribute. You have to pass the value. What is name? What is the name? Company. Highly case sensitive. What name you are giving here, that only you have to pass. Return type of that is object. This you have to typecast. String s is equal to e dot, to string also you can call, or typecast it. So it will be converted to, if you want to use it later, because if you don't typecast, what is the problem? You can't access the subclass member. So that's why I'll be typecasting. Done. Perfect concept now. So the value stored in context object is what? What is the final concept of this example? Context object can store two type of values: parameter value, attribute value. Whatever value stored can be accessed by any servlet in your application. Okay, and parameters are stored by configuring, and attributes are stored by calling the set attribute method. Parameters are stored by container, attributes are stored by the developer. Developer stored the value. So like this, you start following all this. Heavy concepts are there, but I have covered so many concepts in a very simple example. Done with this? And this attribute value will remain in the context object as long as the server shuts down. Okay, but one thing I'll just add extra point. The values in the parameter cannot be removed now. If at all you want, you can remove the values of attributes. There's a method called as remove attribute. Context dot remove attribute. If you use, you can remove that. That we'll see next. But attributes are read write. Parameters are read only. Parameters are read only. Attributes are what? Read and you can read it also, and I mean to say, you can add a value also, or you can remove value also. You can add a value also, you can add an attribute value also, or you can remove attribute also. That I'll show you in next example, but this is the concept. So these differences are very important. Okay. So fine, we'll be seeing plenty of examples. This is one of the beginning example. So if you want, I'll execute this program and same program and show it to you. Just have the clear clarity on this now. Okay. So always remember this, very crucial. So actually what we say is context. See now finally you know the value stored in one context object is visible to what? All the servlets. So I'll show you this output, then we'll come back. So I'll open a new browser. Home.html. The first HTML you can see here. When I click, what is getting executed? First servlet. You know what's the first servlet doing now? Correct. It set the attribute and gave back the response. Now the second attribute, second servlet, what it will do? Get both and display it. That's all. Done? Yeah, the visibility now. We'll see. What is the visibility? Very, very important. The value stored in config objects. If you are having 1, 2, 3, 4 servlets, see, all servlets will have their own config object. If mandatory, if you require, configure the config object. If you don't require, don't configure which one? The config object. So all servlets will have what? Their own config object. In this scenario, see this, what I am trying to do is, the config object is there for what? 3 servlets. Simply I am showing on concept. But one servlet does not have what? Config object. Okay. But the value stored in config object is available to what? Only that servlet. See, it is visible only here. It is visible only here. It's visible only here. But if I store the values in context object, what is going to happen now? What is going to happen? It is available to all. The visibility is to all the solids. Any solid can access it. So finally, a drawn statement. Okay, context object is used to store application level values. If you want a value for your entire application, so we'll start using what? Context object. I finally phrased on statement. What is it? Context object is used for storing application level. Any values needed for the entire application. Entire application means solids only. Okay, so means multiple solids will be needing it. So then you store it in context object. Understood? I just wanted to explain this statement to you. Which one? Context object is used for storing application level values. If I had given you, it looks a very simple statement, but the meaning of that you can understand how in depth it has got. Clear? So that's how. So when you read docs, these docs are very important. When you go on reading solid document and all that, no, they'll be talking like this. The application, the solid context is used to store application level values. Looks like a very simple statement. The meaning of it, you can see how in depth it is. Yeah, I made you understand that statement with 2-3 examples and after 2 classes. Done? Fine. The visibility. Okay. So again, this I told you in the last class. Let me repeat it. Your notebooks, what you write is what? Config. What you write, only you can see. You are the servlet. You're all servlets. How many people are sitting here? You're all servlets here. Okay. So what you write in your notebook, only you can see, right? What you write in your notebook, only you can see. Correct. But what I write on the board, everybody can see. So context is like board. Notebook is like config. That's how you can compare. Done? Fine. So I'll be showing you practically where again attributes are used. Attributes will be used practically also. That also I'll be showing with examples. So we are learning the theory part of it and concept part of it. So let's see now, in Servlet till now what we have covered. Brilliantly we have covered a lot of topics. Okay, more. First, is it the diagram? I think this diagram should become clear to you. Okay, more and more. Let's summarize what all you have learned till now. These are your web.xml objects. As soon as you start the server, you know the process now. The web.xml is passed, reads the values and stores it into Java objects like this. The thread pool will be created. If load on startup has been used, the Servlet instance will be created. Correct? So all this. Then if you are not used, the Servlet instance will be created when the first request comes. All this story you know. Supposingly I have not used load on startup, first request comes, what happens? Servlet instance will be created, threads will come, request response objects will be created, a config object will be created, it will process, it will go on. But before all that, I just forgot, the context object will be created when you start the server. So this diagram should be very clear. And here also you can notice, servlet config is accessed by what? A single servlet, but context is accessible to all the servlets. Means the value stored in context. 2 types of values you can store. One is the config, one is the context parameters, other one is the attributes. So both values are accessible in the entire application file. Attribute values as well as parameter value. Attribute values are set by the developer and parameter values are set by the container. You will read from web.xml and store it inside the context object. And life is very huge. It will be, those values will be available till the server is running now, to all the servlets. Fine. Yeah, now let's see till now what we have covered in servlets. See, these many things we have covered. The servlet technology is giving you what support? Web support, correct? Standard API for developing web application, that's the most brilliant. I'll explain that again once to you. Input output, networking, collecting input values, lifecycle management, resource management, scalability, memory management, multi-threading, so many topics, all what? Built in. We are not even writing a single line of code for this. That is the reason you use the servlet technology for developing what? Web applications. Yes or no? Input output is taken care. I explained you pin to pin. Everything I explained to you. So these are all taken care to you. Means with examples explained. Done? So this is how it is happening. Yeah, let's come to the standard API. Let's understand what you mean by standard API. Earlier to develop web application, no, the same problems we are facing. what we are seeing now, same problems we are facing. One option was the developer had to write the infrastructure code, and he has to write what? Application logic. Two things he had to write. One is the infrastructure code, means input, output, networking, all that he has to write, and along with that he has to write the application business logic. So we developers couldn't do it, and the time was getting more consumed. That is when proprietary vendors came in Java. Okay, they gave all these solutions, but they were giving their own API and their own standards. Developer was finding it very difficult to learn, because today you are liking one server, you have to learn it. Again tomorrow you learn to use another server, you have to learn that API, their standard and all that. Very difficulty, too much of difficulty we were facing. That is when Sun entered and set one specification. That is only called as Servlet API. So once the Servlet API is there, in the Servlet API what you can see? All interfaces only are there. Implementation is done by whom now? Vendors. So what is the beauty here? The triangle you should be getting clear now. Yes or no? What is the beauty here? This triangle, if you notice, Sun sets the specification. Sun sets which one? Many specification. We are seeing Sun sets the Servlet API. We have seen JDBC API. Likewise, they are setting Servlet API. Servlet API is a specification for whom now? Server vendor. Many server vendors are there. Who are there? Apache is one company. Tomcat is their product name. Similarly, Red Hat is the company name. JBoss is the server name. IBM is the company. WebSphere is what? Server name. This is company. This is server name. JW server. These are all JW servers. Then you got Oracle. They have got WebLogic. Like this, plenty of them are. Sun is there. Sun itself has set the specification. Sun themselves are implementing. Understand? And the name of their server is called as what? Glassfish. Now like this, many are there. You can choose. Okay. So then what happens here? We also learning. Who is learning now? Application developers. Both are learning this. Who? Server vendor also will learn, as well as application developer. So both will learn, and we are learning actually what? All the facility provided and the standard API we are learning in set of classes and interfaces. Why you are learning this? You can write once and run it in any server now. See the beauty. What flexibility you got now? Yes or no? You can write your code. Today you find Tomcat is having good performance. Put it into, deploy it in Tomcat. Tomorrow you find JBoss is having better performance than what? Tomcat. Deploy it there. You find later some other server is good. Nothing will change. Just you are going to take your application and deploy it into another server. So this concept is called as write once, deploy anywhere. WODA. Write once, deploy anywhere. Okay. Means here it is related to server. Write once, deploy anywhere. One more is their word, WORA. Okay. This is related to operating system. I will explain you both. Operating system. So Java has made this much of flexibility today. What happens? See, you got so many operating systems. Okay. You got so many operating systems in the world. Solaris, Macintosh, Linux, so many are there. Microsoft and all that. So sometimes in production environments, real world and all, we don't depend on Windows and all that. We need more powerful operating systems like what? Linux or Solaris. These operating systems do not crash only. They are very powerful. Clear? Memory management of this operating system and all. Anything you take, they are extremely brilliant. So in real world now, when your application is going live, okay, we depend on these kind of operating systems. And so on those operating systems, what you can do now? Install the server, whichever server you want. And then finally you'll put what? Your application. Brilliant, that's it. So it will be supporting now. So you can write once, run it in any operating system and deploy it in any server. That's the meaning. Write once, deploy anywhere, write once, run anywhere. WODA means write once, deploy anywhere. So Java is making that much portability for you, this much of portability. This one is write once, run anywhere. WODA, WORA. Unlike, let's compare with .NET now. Okay. See, once all these things, API, GPI, everything is ready. Now Microsoft, what they'll do? They are following Sun. They'll imitate, they'll copy all that and they'll give their API. They'll give their language. Which language? C# language. Then they'll give their server, .NET server. and but here you have got tight coupling. What code you write, you have to put it in .NET Server only. Now .NET Server will run in what? Windows operating system only. So we cannot trust which one. You know to what extent you can trust Windows operating system, that too when it is going live, understood. So the memory management and all of which one, Windows is not that good. The server has to be restarted at least in some 6 months, 1 year, because the memory management of which one, the Windows server is not good. So you'll have to restart. Restarting means what? Bringing down your application. All this is headache. So and there you are tightly coupled. One server, one operating system, and all that. Okay. Today .NET is telling what? It is portable. They are telling you can write your application and again run it in any operating system. Means you can install .NET in any operating system. That's what they are telling. But supposingly you go with Linux now. Okay. And see, if it is Windows now, it is very simple. Windows, on top of Windows, what will you do? You will put .NET Server and you will deploy it over. Directly it is linked. They are connected. But if you are going with Linux now, you will bring one more middleware here. One more middleware will be there to connect what? .NET and Linux. And here you will be deploying your application. Application will be deployed here. So they are telling it is portable. But the problem is this middleware is bringing down the performance of your application. Okay, that because a lot of conversions are but during execution from by the time it has to give output, a lot of conversion has to happen. This is high level language. So there it degrades the performance of the application. So due to these reasons, Java goes on to dominate which one? .NET. You cannot compare only. First of all, I told you, supreme vendor is Sun. Next to Sun is what? .NET. Okay. PHP, Joomla and all are there. They are also giving the same, but you cannot compare them only. They are ruled out. So these are all things what you can use for developing web applications, but you can see the power of Sun is extremely brilliant here. They are supreme people here who are giving the most sophisticated, state-of-the-art programming support for all the application developers. If Sun was not there, if Java was not there, it would have been very, very, very difficult for we application developers to develop applications. Gradually you'll understand this. Understood? More examples, I'll justify this with what? More technologies, more examples I'll justify. Day one also I thought, when I was teaching you Java, I had told you the power of Java. Now also I'm talking about the power of Java. Okay. By the time I complete the course also I'll talk about the power of Java. Okay. And later on you'll understand why Sun is not going to be replaced by any other language. Because it has got extensive, it is a very powerful language. It has got extensive support of libraries. So many things are there. What is the good thing about Java? Beautiful language, user-friendly language, excellent programming features, memory management, multi-threading, anything you take, library, the data types provided for implementing OOPs and all that. Excellent it is. So this is one language which is so powerful and cannot be replaced by any language. I am just giving you clarity. Simply people will tell outside what? Tomorrow Java only will not be there. Means what? Joke? 25 years a language which has dominated can be replaced by any other language. Are you ready to learn first? You put so much of effort. You know how difficult it is to learn a language. You know how difficult it is to learn a technology. Tomorrow you'll migrate to any other language. No. Millions of applications have been developed on what? Java language. Millions. Do you think they'll be migrated? Millions. Sit and count. Million. Understood? So these many applications have been coded. Old applications are there. Enhancement, maintenance. See, what is the scope of job in Java? The scope of Java is very huge. And also on top of that, migration. .NET projects getting migrated to Java. PHP project getting migrated to Java. This will happen. So do not listen to people who don't know the subject very well. They don't know what is what. People working in industry sometimes don't know what is the subject. They'll tell this is good, that is good. On what grounds are they justifying? But I am showing you all this with what? Concrete evidences. 25 years how Java is dominated, how it goes on to dominate. What is the scope of your job? Okay, is there threat for your job? No. Where is the threat for your job? A developer is always required in a company, yes or no? As long as businesses are running, enterprises, companies, they need software. So as long as they need software, we have job. And your job is also secure, plus you get what? High packages. Others end up losing jobs. Why? They'll be in maintenance job. So when you enter the industry, you should know where you are exactly moving in. Clear? So this is how it stands. Fine. So now, this coming back to the Servlet API, we'll see here. Now, the beauty of Servlet API is what? It is giving you some classes and interfaces. Yes or no? Standard Class means if you want to set standards. Now I am talking about Java data types, interface. Leave that story now. We are coming to interfaces. Now what is the advantage of an interface here? It is used for setting standards. So interfaces are always used for what? Setting standards. They do not contain any implementation. They are means interface is used for what? Decoupling, declaration and implementation. It's completely abstract. The implementation is done by vendor. And whatever objects you are calling means method, request.get parameter, config.get init parameter. We are working with many objects now. In fact, all these objects are what? These are objects of classes which are implemented by whom now? Server vendor. What high level of abstraction we are working? Imagine when you say request.get attribute or get parameter, context.get attribute, whatever you say. In fact, your variable is referring to whose object? Vendor's object. You take your same code, put it into any server. You are working with their object. If you deploy it in Tomcat, you are working with their objects. Context object is you are working with Tomcat's object. If you put it in JBoss, you are working with their object. Hardly we are doing anything. So imagine what a level of abstraction Java is providing to you. We don't know how the code is working. We know that when I say something like request.get parameter, I will get the value from the request. I know that much. How it is working, from where it is coming, who is implementing, why are we bothered? That itself is called as what? Abstraction. So the level of abstraction provided by Java is very, very, very high because of the most powerful data type called as interface. This is the reason Java dominates in the programming industry. Because of what? Its data types. So the data types form the pillar of the language. Primitive data types are extremely good. Apart from what? Primitive data types, Java has got 4 powerful user-defined data types. One is the class, subclass, abstract class and what? Interface. The class is used for doing concrete implementations. Subclasses are used for what? Adding or changing implementations. Abstract classes are used for what? Partial implementations. And interfaces are open for implementation. Only if you know the Java properly here, now you can relate how Java is getting used by building, means how they are using that language in building what? Technologies. They are using the same data types. Sometimes they'll use class, they'll use subclass or abstract class or interface, and this is how this technology will be built. So technologies are always what? Java based technology. So Java is the language. These are technologies, or in simple words they are called as libraries, and these libraries are supplied to you in the form of jar files. So this is how I am teaching you technology, not by hearting way. Are you clear with this? So the data types are most important here. Java's most powerful thing is the data types. Apart from their multi-threading, all that is there. But imagine the power of Java, how strong it is. Clear? How many data types is Java is having now? So it has got 8 primitive types, and till now you have seen 4 used for oops, implementing oops, as well as what? 2 more are there, which I will be covering. Enumerations has been covered to you. One more is annotation. Very powerful data types. And you will see they provide you excellent support for all your programming problems. Done? So this was a summary of what we have learned till now. And with this summary, you can develop one big application also. Are you clear? You understanding how the things have been designed here? So simple. If you summarize it, things are very simple. Okay, so always, this is how you learn. So we are learning the Servlet API now. Yes or no? What all I covered in Servlet API? Servlet, interface, HTTP Servlet, generic Servlet, then Servlet config, Servlet context, HTTP Servlet request, HTTP Servlet response. So all this we are covering. So how good you know this API, how good you know these methods, that better you can write your application. And those methods are containing one logic. That logic is nothing but on concept. So that's what I'm telling you. This is a problem. For that problem there is one concept. That concept has been implemented in one method. Like this. I bring problems, then I start showing you the solutions. This is how things have been designed. Are you clear with this? Yeah, almost all we think we can develop a web application now. Yes, we got all the excellent support. But now, the subject becomes interesting also, challenging also. One major problem starts off now. One major problem. Solution is very simple, you don't have to worry. But to understand this problem and the solution, minimum you will take 2 to 3 classes. Understood? Are you clear with all this now? So now I am going to the next subject. Okay, very interesting and challenging subject. This is one of the most biggest difficulty a web application developer faces. Biggest difficulty. But luckily for we developers, this is also there built in. First understand the problem, then I show you the solution. Until unless you understand the problem, there is no point in understanding what? Solution. So solution will not be given to you in this class, it will be given to you in the next class only. Clear? So first I am going to show you the problem now. Clear with this? Yes, see the problem now. So we are starting off a new topic now. See this. Wait, let me draw it first, then you draw it. Please enter your personal details. But see, you know, many times you have become, there are so many registrations you'll be doing online. Yes or no? So many registrations. You'll be doing it, obviously. Why? Your favorite websites you'll be always visiting. Naukri. Correct? What all? Jobs, what all? Every day we'll be registering. So let's see that site now. Means I'll just compare it. So this is all, sorry, 1 second. And please enter your registration details. You have to fill in now. Yeah, first we'll be asking the user to enter what? Personal details. In the personal details, you might ask him to enter first name, enter last name, then you might ask him to enter age, and you might ask him to enter phone, and you'll ask the user to submit it now. Wait till I draw it first. So once you submit, okay, then it will give back the response by telling what, please enter your professional details. Enter current company. Enter previous company. Enter current salary. Enter expected salary. Correct, huh? You'll always expect very high salaries now. Yeah, see, this is how the applications will be there. Then again you click, then again you'll get one more page. They're telling address details. Address details will be street, city, state, country, and you'll submit. Getting it up? Just I'm not having space here, just understand. This is street, this is city, state and country, and submit. Then problem is spaceman. Again I have tried all this. I need more UIs. Once again, correct only. Just wait. This is a simple page where you will be asking the user to enter what? Personal details. Personal details would be first name, last name, then age, phone. And the user will be clicking the submit button. So once he clicks this, then next page would come, which will ask the user to enter professional details. Professional details would be current company, previous company, current salary, expected salary. And next page again you will ask him to enter address details. Street, city, state, country. Again he will be submitting. Next again he will enter. Let's see what we are going to do now. Yeah. See, let me give you an idea about this example now. So this will be the first HTML page. See, static data now. This first page will be what? Enter personal details would be HTML file. Yes, so I can name it as enter.html file. Fine, this is okay. This will be a simple HTML file now. Enter.html file. That's okay. Now see this. Again, he's going to submit this value. Now we have a requirement here. Okay. So first, see the requirement. First understand the requirement, then you'll come and face the problem. Now for that problem we need a solution. The requirement you understand. So user goes on giving multiple values like this for every request. Okay, for every request we'll be giving multiple values. Now you might have one question. Why is the user being given so many screens? Why not give the option in a single screen? So giving all these options in a single screen is good or multiple screen is good? Single screen or multiple screen? Yes. As a developer, you think you want to wash off your hands. Yes or no? You don't want to take too much pain. That's why you think about what? Single screen. As a developer, you think like that. Why should I write so many pages? I'm having so much work. Let me relax my work. Correct? So, but when you start avoiding the difficulty, finally the difficulty will be faced by whom now? The user of the application. So if the user of the application sees so many fields in a single screen, means all this will be in what? Single screen. That time what will happen? He'll run away from your application. He feels it's complicated. He'll never use your application. So you have to make the user feel comfortable. Yes or no? So if you observe the difficulty, obviously the user finds it easy. If you don't observe means you should take it. If you don't observe the difficulty is passed to the user. So if the user finds your application is difficult, nobody will use your application. So as a developer, our duty is to make the application users comfortable and easy. So that's why we go with so many screens now. First understand the scenario. We have to give him so many screens. So first page he enters something he'll type in the URL now. www dot or something he will type and he'll get the first page. So as soon as he types this first page, he'll get this. He thinks only happy, is very happy now. Only 4 fields, let me enter. Understood? So he'll enter that. After he enters and submit, then he'll ask, the application will ask, please enter your professional details. So slowly you're collecting the values. Yes or no? So like this you have to build your applications. He'll enter this. Again he'll submit. Again he'll give back the response telling what? Please enter your address details. He doesn't even know. He's entering so many values. Slowly you're moving him into the application. This is the art. And you should always see to that you keep your user comfortable. So obviously we go for more screens like this. Done? So that is okay. But we are facing a major problem here. We decided to go for what? Multiple screens. Yes, look at the problem here. So once the user gives this value, okay, see now, these values will come now. Whatever values are coming, okay, give back the response. All this will keep happening. You're making the request. Request will go, response will come, all this is okay. And here, again I can use an HTML file. For this one, means enter address details. I can use what? HTML file only. But if I use HTML file, what is the problem? Whatever values user had sent, no? Sorry, if he's submitting this, no? Yeah. If he submits this, he has to get this response now. First let us see this. First let me start from here. He's typing enter.html, he has got personal details screen. He's entering all these values. He's entering all these values and he'll submit. Once he submits, next page is this one you have to display. So here you can use what? HTML only, no? But if you use HTML, what are the values you sent now? First name, last name, what has happened? They are lost. We are coming with a major crisis here. We need the values in the next request also. We might need the values in next request also. Okay, see this. So again he'll enter these values. Again he'll submit. Again when he submits this, what happens? Again he'll give back the response. So like this values will keep on coming every time. So here what happens? Here obviously we'll be using Java programs now. We'll not be using HTML because we need to hold the values. HTML does not have any variable and all that to hold values. So we need to hold the values. Fine. So what we go on doing? See here I'll go with on personal details servlet. When you submit this, we'll go with on 1 second. Just let me draw it to you. This will be personal detail. One servlet name I am giving. Any name you want to give. Personal detail servlet. So again when you submit, again one more servlet will be created like this, personal detail. So here which servlet will I create? Professional details. I think we need space, that's the problem here. Okay, let me see how to write the code. So fine, every time he goes on making the request, the values are coming, you give back the response. See here how the values come. First let's start with the first one. This name will be FN. The input type is equal to text, name is equal to FN. This will be LN, age, AG, phone, PH. So as soon as you submit, all these values are put into the request object. See this, here you'll be getting the request object will be created. The request object is there as well as what? Response object. The scope of these objects you see properly. This is request object. It is having what? FN, LN, then what? AG as well as PH. So all this FN, LN, AG as well as PH. So all these values are there in the request object. This is your request object now. Done? Because you know how they come. The request object gets created, they are stored. These will be supplied to your which one now? First, personal details servlet. In this example, plenty of concepts you'll learn now. Here you are having a do get, and you are having request, comma, response. So you'll get your values, request dot get parameter f1, all that you'll get. How will you get? Request dot get parameter of f1, you'll get it. Same you'll get what? ln, all the values you'll get. s1, s2, all the values you'll get. Yes or no? So that is not a problem. Once you get these values, what will you do? You have to use it and you have to give back the response. But once you give back the response, carefully notice the request object is destroyed, the response object is destroyed. And these are all local variables. One thread was executing now. Which one? One thread had come outside the pool and executing. So this S1, S2 all are what? Local variables. So as soon as your doGet method completes execution, what happens? They are also destroyed. All the values are lost. Next request comes. He is entering this. Again in the request object what you will be having? New values. You will be having new values. And again you can get it. In the second servlet you can get what? These values you can get. Which values? Professional servlet you can get. Okay, professional details servlet you can get these details, professional details. Then again you will give back the response. Again all values are lost. So in every request and response you are seeing here, what is happening? The values are getting lost. Major problem here. So how will you solve this problem? Finally you need all the values now. So what is the option? So means here in this example you'll understand plenty of concepts. You'll understand the behavior of each and every object. Carefully see. As soon as the request is coming, request object gets created. As soon as the response is given, request response objects both are getting destroyed. So what values is this request and response object is containing? They are lost. Next request comes, means he is entering professional details. Okay, these will come. Again new request response objects are created. But that new request response object will have these values. It will not have that values. Again when the response is given, they are destroyed. So you'll understand the life of all the objects. Understood? So then next, you might have a config object. Config object will be belonging to only single servlet, like that. All the concepts will be cleared here. So done. So fine, like this we are, and these are getting destroyed now. So now the idea here is I want to store the values now somewhere, so that it is available for a longer amount of time. What will you do now? You got the problem now? Yeah, how will you solve the solution now? Huh? I want to hold it for a longer amount of time. In case I can go for a database now, I'll depend on some table now. So here I'll have first name, last name, age, phone. Like this I'll have a big table. What? Next, current company, previous company. Like this you have a big table now. Current salary, expected salary, like this. So what you do now, every time a request comes, you select what it should do. Collect the values from the user, means request start. S1, S2 values are there now. Let it dump into the database. And then what it can do? It can give back the response now. Request response object is destroyed. S1, S2, S3 are destroyed. No problem. We are having the values in the database. Again, next request comes. We can again connect to database, store the values and give back the response now. Excellently, we can solve this problem. Yes or no? Yes. So like this we have to think about giving the solutions now. See here I'll classify clearly. This is the client, means this is the client, means this is browser. User is sitting somewhere. Understood? Think practically. When you are using Gmail application, you are using Gmail from your computer, like that. This is the application which is running in the server, and this is the database. So actually there are three layers now. There are three layers. So when the values come from the client and to your application, and when the response is given, the values are getting lost. This is a major crisis what you are facing now. Understood? But we will need the values of the user again and again, many times. So for that reason what you can do, we thought of storing it among the three layers. We thought client, server and database. We thought database is the best. So that's why I created a table. I stored it here. Now if you go for this approach, let's see the problem again what we face. What is the problem you face? Client has sent the value. First servlet connected to database, inserted the value, give back the response. Again second servlet, give the value. Again you are collecting the value, inserting to database and giving back the response. Now third, he is not going to enter only. He gets an urgent phone call. He'll quit the application. You cannot force the user to what? Till now you also used. However you want, you are playing around with what? Gmail, Facebook and all that. So what? Whenever you want you log out, whenever you want you log in. So he has entered two set of values. Which one? Personal details, professional details, address details. Means two details, professional and personal. Address details he has not, he is quit now. Okay, but you already inserted the values in database. So it is incomplete data. Next tomorrow morning again what you will do? Again you will restart from the beginning. So who is going to clear the unwanted data from this database now? Earlier some unwanted data is there now. So that you have to remove. Who is going to do all that? So for that only you have to maintain what? One database administrator for removing incomplete data. Like the user quits midway, you have to remove it. Okay, that is one problem. Other problem is, see, for every request you are hitting the database. Why are you hitting the database? So like this, hitting the database every time is not recommended, and your intention was correct only. What was your intention? You did not want to lose the value. That is why you thought of storing these values into the database. Your intention is correct, but database is not a recommended approach here. So actually what should happen is, see, you should think of an alternative. I'll tell you that. First you have to ask the user to give all the values. Store it somewhere. Some buffer memory or something like that. Primary memory. I mean to say primary memory. Finally you have to give him an option. Do you wish to become a member? He has to fill everything. Do you wish to become a member? You'll give him an option. And he'll say yes or no. Once he says yes, that time what you should do, collect all his values and then dump it into database. This is the approach you have to take. But problem is, in every request what is happening? And every request and response you are losing the value. Now when he clicks yes here, how will you get this previous set of values? You are lost. So that is the reason, okay, we have to store it in some primary memory only. Or we have two options here. One, I can store the values in the client side, or I can store the values in the server side. Two options we are having. Database ruled out, means don't store the values every time in the database. Other option is store it in the client place or store it in the server side. We'll see it. So first I'll think about storing it in server side. You can store it in client place also. We can store it in server side also. We can store it in database also. Database I will not show you. Reason is not a recommended approach, because in the database you have to hit in the last only. So instead of hitting the database every time, it is waste. So let's not see that. If you want, you know what to do now. Class.foundName, get the connection, write your insert, give back the response. Again, if you here also, what will you do? Class.foundName, get the connection, insert, give back the response. If you want, you can do it, but no need to do it. It is not recommended. Now the option is for me, either store it in the client place or in the server place. So today, now I show you how to store the values in the server side. Okay, then I'll show you how to store it in the client place. We'll discuss which is the best among all. First of all, you know now very clearly which one database is not recommended. Now the computation is left between either the client or the server. Which one is the best we have to find out. Why we have to find out. So all that we have to understand now. And then finally we'll decide what is the support we have got. It's a major problem now. Yes or no? We are coming with a major problem here. Okay, so holding the client values. So let's see. So for this, what I can do is, now I'll start storing these values in the server side only, but now I start depending on the context object. Reason is what you know. See, the value stored in request response object is available in a single request response. Yes or no? It will not be available in the next request. So value will be lost. So I can't trust the request response object, or I can't depend on it. We cannot say it's a negative side of which one request. That is the limitation of request and response object. I cannot think of storing it in the config object. Why can't store it in the config object? The value stored in config, if I want it in the next last servlet, how will I get it? Yes or no? I cannot do it. Now, if I want, I can store it in the servlet instance only. How? I'll use instance variables. I can declare instance variables here now. This S1, S2, S3, where you declare? Outside do get you declare. What is the problem? Your code is running in multi-threaded environment. When the user makes a request, the values will be overwritten now. Yes or no? The values written in the, if you use instance, means the possible objects what are present are request response, config, instance of the servlet. These are the objects. So you can't use the instance of the servlet also. If you use instance variable, supposingly S1, S2, I'll declare it outside. You will initialize here only. String S1, string S2, I'll declare it outside. But next request comes, another user, it will overwrite now. Your code is using what? Multi-thread model. It will overwrite. So you see the problems now. Last only one option you have got now, context object. So if at all I store the values in context object, what will happen now? I can access it in any servlet now. See how the concepts are becoming clearer now. These concepts become clear only with examples. So what I'll do, I'll get it from the request object, and what will I do now? These values I'll put it into context object. Understood? Whatever values I am getting, S1, S2, this S1 is containing the value. So how will I do it now? They will be on context object now. So here after you get the value, you say context, get the reference. Dot, what will you do? Set attribute. You will be saying set attribute now. Set attribute. Any name you want to give, I will give it as Fn. Okay, this is the name I am giving. I am giving it in caps. You can give it in any variable name it is. Just for your convention, easy purpose, because here also you are seeing Fn. So I just want to differentiate. So Fn comma, what is the value? S1. Again ctx dot set attribute. What will I do? Ln comma S2. Like that fill all the values. So where are the values getting stored now? Context object. So Fn, Ln, age, ag, phone, all the values are here. Fn is containing what value? S1's value. What is S1 value? Whatever you entered there. If I entered Ravi, the value will be stored now. So all the values I collected from the request and put it into the context. What was the reason? Reason is the life of context object is big. That is one reason. Two is the value stored in context object can be accessed in any servlet. Understood now? So like this you can depend on this context object. So this is not the correct solution. I am telling you very clearly. You should use one more object. But in this example I am covering plenty of concepts. After I complete executing this example, then I will talk about the concepts what I have covered. Done? It's not a proper solution, but yes, let's think about using the context object. So I'm using it now. So once I use the context object, I'll store it and I'll give back the response. Next, one more request comes. What will happen? In the second servlet, again I'll collect all the values from what? Request. Request.get parameter I'll collect. Again I'll do it what? Put it into the context. Again I'll give back the response. Similarly I'll collect. And then what I'll do? Give back the response. Finally when he clicks yes, What will I do? Get all the values from the context. And then what will I do? I'll dump it into database. And I'll tell, thank you for becoming a member. Good now. I can do this. So if he clicks yes, what will I do now? Context dot get attribute. Whatever you have stored now, you can get all the values. What values? Fn, Ln, all these values you can get. So you stored the values in first servlet, but you are getting it in what? The last servlet. Or in any servlet you can get it. But I decided to get that value here. Yes? So like that I'll get all the values. So context dot string, sorry, return type will be object. But anyway I can get this. Object you have to typecast later. Object is equal to context dot get attribute of Fn. Similarly Ln, get all the values. Not only these, you can get even what? Your current company, all these values you can get. So get the values from the context, put it into the database now, last. So here in all these servlets what did I do was, collected the values from the request, put it into the context. Understood? Lastly what did I do? Collected from context and put it into the database. The reason why I used context is, what? Its life is huge and the values can be, because context type is available till the server shuts down. That's the reason. So we'll see this example now. Understood? So major problem who is facing? We, application developers. So we need a solution. We will find it. You don't have to write single line of code for this. But understand the problem. Till you understand the problem, you will not understand the solution. Getting it now? So like this you start putting into the context object. This diagram I need it. Okay, first I'll show you what is happening. Okay, this I'll remove. I'll draw it again. Let this pages remain here. I'll draw it again after the output. Then I'll again explain to you. Because I know how intelligent you are. How much of explanation you need. Done? Yes. So next we'll go to the next example. See this very interesting example, the 15th one. Yeah, very interesting. So enter.html. See this. You're asking the user to enter what? First name, second name, age, phone. This is the source code. Okay. So once he enters this value, it will generate on URI by name what? Person. Person will go to what? Let's go to web.xml. In web.xml what we'll do? Person will execute which one? Personal details servlet. So what is personal details servlet doing? Let's see now. We are having more servlets now. What is personal details servlet doing? Nothing. See this. Just collects the values from the request. Only one line of code. What? Puts it inside the context. Nothing more it is doing. Gives back the response. Subject was big. Coding wise you see nothing is there. Why? Request response is destroyed. These local variables are destroyed. These are all local variables. Strings. They are destroyed. Okay. But we stored these values into the context. Response is given. Again you click, again it will come to what? Here see. If you click, we are doing this, it will come to generate on URI by name what? Professional. Means means it will go to which one? Professional detail servlet. So here professional detail servlet I'll open up now. What is professional detail servlet doing? Again collects the values from the request, puts it into what? Context. That's all it is doing. So all the servlets are collecting from request, putting into context. Collecting from request, putting into context. Done? So see this. Again lastly, in the third means address detail servlet also we are doing the same thing. Collecting, I'm using everywhere set attribute. Set attribute, and I'll give back the response. So done. The last servlet, I'm not connecting to database, but just I show you, we can access all the values. So once you get all the values, what you can do? You can store it in database. But how do I get it? See here, context dot get attribute of first name. Understood? So what is first name actually? You see this in personal details select. What did I do? Request dot get parameter. First name I got now. It is return type string now. In the context object I stored it with what name? First name. First underscore. That's a convention I'm taking. If you want to write it in FN, LN or something. But if you write FN, LN, you will only not understand why. Finally, what are they? So that's why I'm just using caps here. I'm following one convention. There are many conventions you can follow. I'm just using caps and underscore. So the same name I have to use where? When I'm saying get attribute. and I am doing that in what? Last servlet. See, clearly see now. Let us run the program. Very interesting program. So yes, the name would be html/enter.html. I'll do one thing. I'll open another browser outside and I'll show it to you. You see this? I opened a new browser outside. Enter.html. Enter your first name. Understood? I'll enter Amog. Okay. So then next what? Second name. Amog, Ravi. Okay, you can start giving the values. Okay, then age. Say I'll give 10. Then phone number 111. Yes. So it's submitting. Where are the values going? Personal details now. Select. Personal details select. What is the personal details doing now? Collecting the values from the request, puts it inside the context, gives back the response. User doesn't know anything. I am still using the application. But what did your application do? What did your code do? Collected all the values from the request, has put into the context. See here how it has put personal details, request.get parameter, first name, second name. Okay, it has collected all the values. Okay, and then it has put it into the context object. Means this is the key or what? Variable name. So you are putting this value, the value of str first name is Amog. The Amog value I put it into first name, and first name I put it into context object. And I give back this response, what you are seeing now. So value is still there in the server. Value is still there in the server in the context object. Yes, next we'll continue. So I might enter current company, okay, cluster, previous company, Infi, okay, current salary 1000, expected salary 9999. Again, what's happening? All the values will be collected from the request, put into what? Context, response will be given. Yes, perfect. Street, Rajkumar Road, Raj Road, anything you can give the values. Then city, what? Bangalore. State, Karnataka. And country is India. Submit. So I'm just saying click to see all details. If you want, you can give other option. Click to submit to database or something like that. But just we are going to see it, access it. I'll click now. All the values what the user entered, you can see it here now. Where? Last servlet. So the idea here is the values what the user gave in the first request, second request, third request were all available in the last servlet. Reason was we are not depending on request and response. We put it into the context object. Yes or no? And in the last servlet, what did I do? I got all the values. What did I do? Show all details. I'm getting all the values and printing it. If you are interested, you can connect to database and store it now. All the values are there for you. They are not lost. So handling values is very important. Which one is difficult now? Writing logic or handling values? Remember, handling values is always important. So that's why we depending on the context object. Are you clear? So I'll explain it to you diagrammatically now. Okay. See this. Clearly see the flow. Once you entered these values, I'll leave that HTML because I need space. Okay. So leave this. So once I click this, where are you coming now? This will be coming to which one now? Which object? You submit this, it will be coming to which one? Personal detail servlet. Fine. This is do get. Having request comma response. This is your request object. This is your response object. Where will I draw? Okay, I'll draw the context object here somewhere. This is your context object. This is created when? Long back when the server started. So what did I do here? str first name is equal to request dot get parameter of what? First name. So similarly str last name request dot get parameter of, I'm showing only two values because I don't have space. Fn is there, ln is there. Fn was what? Amog. Last name was what? Ravi. So I took the two values and what I'll do? I'll put it into the context. You know how to get the reference to context now? ServletContext ctx is equal to get ServletContext, but see this ctx dot set attribute fn, something in caps I'm taking, You take any, this one, variable name, comma, strfn. So what will happen now? As soon as it's a set attribute, fn will be stored here, ln will be stored here. But the value of fn is what? Ravi. And the value of ln is what? Sorry, Amog. First name is Amog, second name is what? Ravi. This we collected from request. Yes? Put it into what now? Context. Simple. Same way I will say what? ctext dot set attribute. ln comma str ln. So this one also will be put. And you will give back the response. Next request comes. Which one? Which servlet? Professional details. Same story will repeat. Here also you will be having your own request response object. This is your request object. This will have its own request object. This will have its own response object. Here what are the values coming? Current company, previous company. Current company is what I gave? Cluster. Previous company what I gave? Infosys. So again I will say what? Do get string str current company is equal to request dot get parameter of current company. String str previous company request dot get parameter of previous company. Again what's happening? ctx dot set attribute. cc means in caps comma str cc. Similarly ctx dot set attribute of previous company comma str pc, like this. I'll fill the values. Again what is getting stored here now? It's a big object. It can go on storing current company, previous company. Like this you start storing. Current company is cluster, previous company is infi. Like this. Again you will give back the response. So like finally when he says yes, what are you doing here? I am saying object is equal to ctx dot get attribute of what? Fn. I get the value and I display it. Here I am means here what is the thing you have done is click to see all details. That is what you have done. So when you click here, what is happening? It is displaying all the values. Yes or no? What it is displaying? Amog, Ravi, age, all that it is displaying. Concept is clear now? But what is the code you wrote? Just 2 lines, sir. Set attribute, get attribute. That's all. Yes? Yes. So, but there is one drawback if you store it in context object. So actually context object is not the right object. Why? I will show it to you. But why I showed you context object also I will explain. When it is not correct, why I showed you also I will explain. Okay. So first I will show you why context object is not a proper object to store what? Client values. Let's see it. A very interesting scenario now. See this. I'll open one, which one? IE browser, Internet Explorer. So this is one user. This is one user. He starts using the application now. This is one user who started using the application. See this. First name is what? We'll go with AAA. One user by name A. Second name AA. Age 11. Okay. Phone number 11111. Means A and 1 belong to one user. Understood? He submits. Now his company name. All A values only I'll give. A. Previous company name. AAAA. Current salary 1000. So expected salary 10,000 or something. But all A and 1 I'm using. And I'll submit. Now this user gets a phone call. He's talking on the phone. He's not entering his application. He's not using it. He's busy. Now another user logs in. See this? Chrome. It's a stimulated environment. Understand? The user's value are there in context. Now see very interesting scenario. This is B user. He will start entering the values. What is he doing? He will start entering the values. His name he'll enter BBBB. Second name BB. Age 22. Phone number 2222. Done? Submits. What happens? Values are overwritten now. Yes or no? The values are overwritten in the context object. See this. current company name. Again it is overwriting, this time also B. So in the context object, A values are lost. Okay, previous company B, current salary 2000. This one expected salary 20,000. Again what has happened? Overwrites. So currently in context object, what values are you finding? B values. B continues. Okay, enter your street. Okay, B continues. B, city. B, state, country. Fine, all values he has entered. He submits. Now he sits waiting. Who is sitting? B is waiting. Now who will come? A. See, they are all accessing parallelly. It is a single servlet. It is a multi-thread model. All are using what? The same 4 servlets. So again one more user. He is continuing now. So again B is, which value are overwritten now? Address details are overwritten. The last details what he entered. Correct? A. City is what? State. Now very interesting. Submit. Finally, what values you will see here? Jumbled up now. See here. The first 2 values of B, last values of A correct. Because A is overwriting B's value. For B also what is happening? See here. Click to see all details. Same. But jumbled up now. Now your values are getting what? The one user, what user is given, it's getting used by other person. What was the problem? What is the problem? The problem is you are storing it in context object. You are not supposed to store what? Client specific information in context object. It is wrong. Are you following this now? So you should know how to use the objects. I showed you this example to show you what? The drawbacks and disadvantage of context. Context also is having its own advantages as well as it's having its own disadvantage and advantage. So I am showing you both. And you should know exactly when to use which one. If I show only the positive side of it, what will happen? So that is why I am covering both. Advantage of request response, advantage of config, advantage of context. All I am covering. Advantage and disadvantage. Only then you will get a grip onto what? This servlet library. So the solution is there. You don't have to worry. Okay, but context object is not the right object. Okay, so but what are the different concepts we covered here? That we'll see. Okay, once again I will finish off this example if you want to. Yeah, this example if you want to experiment in diagram wise, see this. One more user entered now. So when he enters this, what is happening? Same program is getting executed now, but this user is giving what? If he is giving A, he is giving what? B. So first A values were there. A in the context object. Correct? Then when B started entering, same code is getting executed. Yes or no? Multi-thread model. Only one instance shared by what? All the clients. One thread will come outside and it will execute. All the concepts are very crystal clear now. Okay, so again it is put on to what? The same context. A value will be overwritten with not now. Earlier it was A, no? First time when you executed, what are the values you are sending? The user is sending A, 111. So in the code executed first time, what was the value of A, current company also A, okay, like this. He entered twice. So values were stored. Then B comes. Same code is going to execute now. It is overwritten to what now? B. So this will be overwritten now. Because the same code is executing. Only the values are different. str first time is now, this time B value. That time it was A value. Very important concept this one. Clear? So here you have to understand all this. Are you clear with all this now? Fine. So the final summary we'll see now. Again after clearing all this I'll show you the problem once again. Okay, but the final summary all you are understanding now. Should I clear all this now? So these problems you have to understand. More problems you understand, I'll start giving you what? More, better. Me means what? Servlet technology will give the solution. So these are the various problems we developers face while developing a web application. Answer is there. Okay. But yes, what are the concepts we saw? We understood the life of request response object. Yes or no? The value stored in one request response is available what? Only in one request response. So that one major concept. Second concept is what? The instance, the same instance of the servlet is used by what? Multiple clients. We saw the multi-thread model support, scalability. Yes. Then other concept what? We didn't use config object. Okay, but that clearly tells that if you want to store the client values in config object, it will be not available in the other servlet. Okay. Then context object concept also you saw. The value stored in context object is available to all the servlets. Understood? And it is available till the end of the server, till the server shuts down. But it should not be used for storing what? Client specific values. Understood? So these are the concepts, but let's be right on point now. Clearly understand this, very important from the interview point of view. One servlet config can be used by what? One servlet instance, but by all users. Yes or no? The value stored in config object. See, understand now. This is one user. This is your servlet instance. Let us say login servlet. If login servlet has a config object, if it is having a config object, this is A user, this is B user. All of them can access that value now stored in what? Config object. All of them can use it. So that is the meaning of it. Till now I was telling you what? One servlet config, one servlet instance. But what? All users accessing the same servlet. If you want, you can get it. Yes or no? If you want, all users can access the value stored in the config. That is the visibility. The value stored in config object is accessible only in one servlet by all users. Only in one servlet, but by all users. Get the point? One servlet context. This concept I want to teach you. That's why I gave this example. All servlet instances. But the right word to say is entire application. The value stored in context is available to all servlet instances or all entire application. Again to what? By all users. So value stored in context is available in all servlet instances and can be accessed by any user. That's what I showed you. The value stored in context can be accessed by any servlet and by any user. This is very important now. This thumb rule you should remember. You should know the behavior of each and every object in servlet concept. Until and unless you don't take control over these objects, there is no point in coding what? Your web application. You cannot code it. Okay. So how good you are in servlet technology, that better you can understand the advanced technologies called as which one? Struts, JSF, because the same objects will be coming over there also. But there you'll be learning a new API. So when you're learning the new API, you should not be worried about these concepts. When I'm saying I'm working on context object, you should know context. When I'm saying working on request, you should know. That time I'll be focusing on what? JSF API, Struts API, something like that. Clear? So there we focus on that library now. So here we are covering all these basic concepts. That is why servlet is the fundamental concept for all the advanced technologies. Are you clear with all this now? You understood these 2 points? I'm repeating finally, the value stored in one config object can be accessed only in one servlet but by all users. The value stored in context object can be accessed by all servlets and by any user. In any servlet, any user can access it. Done? Very important point. So this, finally I'll show you once again that output and we'll conclude the class. So that's it. So we are still facing the same problem. The problem is still not over. Solution for this will be given to you in next class. Means I want to store client information, which will be coming like this every time. Okay, somewhere I need one object is there. So that will be the introduction to which one new API called as HTTP session. Library, you got the support. Nothing you will do, everything will be solved. One object will use one different object. Now I have to explain how that object behaves to you. That's it. Everything is solution is there. You don't have to worry. But we are learning servlet in so much depth only because this technology is used by many high-end technologies. Many high-end technologies like Struts, JSF, Spring, MVC, anything you take. It is used by many. Understood? So that's the reason you should be very, very, very strong in what? Servlet. Only if, then you can understand the most advanced technologies. So see this lastly, because now the board is clear. I'll just open the 2 browsers again, start filling the values. Clear? See the problem now. Once again I show it to you. Yes, enter.html, This is Explorer. Explorer user is going with what? X values. X, X, X. Understood? Second name X, X, X. Age. Okay. Something like 8888. Then this one I'll give it as all 8s. Some number I'm using. So then next submits. Again he continues. X, 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 X. 8 no? Now he relaxes. He'll submit and relaxes. Understood? Now Chrome will enter. Is another user. So he'll give the value as what? Y. Anything like this you try. Age. I'll give it as 5555. Some number you give. So 5 and Y belongs to one user. Overwrites no. Now here also. Y. Current salary. 555. 555. Yes, it's overwritten. But again Y is continuing. He'll give the value. Y. You try it in any order. Definitely you'll see that it will be overwritten. So submits. It's still not clicking. If you had clicked, you would have seen all his values. But meanwhile, what has happened? X is re-entering. He's superhero, no, he'll enter. Yes, sir? So finally what happens? 2 values will be from Y, 1 value will be from X. You would try it all this. And the solution I'll be giving. But plenty of concepts have been covered in this example. Plenty. Yeah? So this is where you are getting the grip onto the select example. 2 of my favorite examples I'll tell you. My favorite examples. But these examples I have done it with what? Experience. One is, which one? Life cycle. All member life cycle. They do not contain any practical scenarios here. This one, which shows all the members. The other example, which is my favorite, is my favorite. I don't know about your favorite. The 15th one, which will cover plenty of concepts. But practically it is waste. But concepts, too many, you can see them. Done? So learn concepts. That will give you the edge in coding. Done? Clear? So fine then. So practice all this. Next class I will solve the problem of what? Storing client specific values. Very interesting it is. Break ke baad. Correct? Huh? Yes. That's it.